Welcome to CineBites, a cinematic culinary podcast where we experience the wonders and beauty in cinema with our eyes and explore the unique and glorious cuisine in those films with our taste buds. Today we're stepping into the nostalgic world of A Christmas Story. Get ready to deck the halls and dine with Ralphie as we explore the heartwarming connections between film and food in this holiday classic. So grab your leg lamp and a plate of meatloaf and let's dive into a festive feast of movies and meals. Feast your eyes.
Merry Christmas!
Ding, 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 ding,
Ding,
ding.
ding, 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 ding.
I was trying to do jingle bell noises.
Ding, ding. Wait, what, do a Christmas jingle.
Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way.
Ooh, it's so good. Man.
Ooh.
So I will say, and this will be on record, that for the longest time in more recent years, I was the Grinch when it came to the holidays.
Yeah, you are a Grinch.
And I had reason
it.
for it and still have reason for it, but I will say, and we don't need to get into all that, I will say that it's definitely gotten better now that I have a daughter and I can enjoy it with her more.
Are you anti-fun?
No, not anti-fun, just... I don't want to get on a tangent about it, but I am warming up to it.
Anti-commercialization?
Yeah, well, no, there's more to it, I think, than, but I can get on that rant for a later time. But I will say that I am getting better.
Okay.
I think that, obviously I agreed to do this and enjoy it. And now that we're introducing film into this, I think that's going to make me enjoy it a little bit more.
Yeah, so we actually have... a couple Christmas specials for you guys. We've got this one, which is coming out the week before Christmas, and then next week we'll also have a Christmas episode that is coming out on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And so we'll have two. We won't tell you what movie it is yet, but it will be a Christmas movie. We're going to be doing 2 Christmas movies, so that's fun and exciting. We had the set all changed.
Yep, looking good.
All Christmassy. I'm dressing up. I got my sleigh in it.
Slaying it.
What does it say? 365 days of the year, work hard, play hard. Slay.
Love it.
And you're looking very dapper.
Yeah, I went with business casual.
Very casual.
Very casual. Not so much business at all.
But anyway, not tonight. Well, it is kind of dark out, isn't it? Because it gets dark at 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah, way too early.
It's not really night yet, but it is dark. But today, on this episode, we will be talking about A Christmas Story.
A Christmas Story.
Yes.
And
So
a lot of people have even joked with me about looking like Ralphie.
I see it.
So I got a lot of that where, I look like Ralphie from The Christmas Story. So
a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it's maybe just the blonde and the glasses.
That's really it. That's really it. It's just a blonde and the glasses. That's it. I mean, there's nothing else. But so the Christmas Story, this is what we're talking about. Not to be mistaken with the newer one. This is the OG. So we want to bring it back to, classic Christmas movies before we venture into other movies that are more recent or just not as good as we think. But the Christmas Story in its own right is a classic. So we want to talk about it and we want to honor it. And so that's why it's one of the first Christmas movies that we're doing. So we're excited to talk about this. You had actually more recently watched this.
I just watched it in preparation for this because I had never seen it. Now, I mean, I say never seen it, but this is the type of movie during the Christmas season. It's just like on the TV a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I have seen clips. I know, about the leg lamp and the bunny costume and the BB gun and all that. Just because it's classic iconography from this film.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just kind of on the TV during the season. Right. But I had never actually sat down and watched this movie because this is way before my time.
Yeah.
And so it was never something that I grew up watching. Because by the time that I was born, everyone who likes this movie, doesn't really feel the need to rewatch it because they had probably seen it multiple times up until then.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I never was sat down and be like, hey, we need to watch this Christmas movie because it's a classic.
Right.
When most everybody else is like, I've already seen that a million times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I never. So anyway, I just recently, legitimately sat down and watched through it. Literally yesterday. So.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what
Fresh
your
on the
thoughts are
mind.
once we get down to the nitty gritty of
But
that.
we have to get to the important part.
Yes, the
Which is the
important part,
food.
which is the food. Would you like to introduce it?
Yes. So we are going to be having classic Chinese Christmas dinner. So at
Chinese
the very
Christmas
end of
dinner.
the movie, those darn dogs, the neighbor's dogs,
Yeah.
somehow break into the house and eat the turkey,
Yeah.
and then bolt out of the house. So Christmas dinner is ruined. So they go to the only place that was open, the Chinese restaurant.
Yep.
And so that is what we were having.
Yeah. Explain
We've
a little
got
bit about what we're.
fried rice,
Yep.
pepper chicken, and egg roll, and a fortune cookie.
Oh, it smells so good. Honestly, this is probably going to be the highest rating that I give on this show.
Probably.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we didn't make this. This is just Chinese takeout like
Yeah.
they got in the movie. They actually went and sat down in the movie.
Yeah. And they were sung to,
Yes.
you know, by the staff, so that was a lot of fun. But that's an iconic scene in itself. And then we're gonna wash it down with some classic
Milk.
which you made a point that there's a lot of movies that have milk in it.
Yeah, because we've already had milk for... What movie did we have milk for?
Was it? No, not Napoleon Dynamite. Even though there is milk in Napoleon Dynamite, we didn't have it for that. It was for. Was it one for something with a diner scene, maybe, or
Maybe. I don't remember.
I can't remember, but it does seem like there is a
Maybe
reoccurring
Reservoir
theme.
Dogs?
Could be, but it does seem like there is a reoccurring theme with.
There's a lot
milk.
of... There have been other movies that we've done on the pod that we actively had to find something else to drink other than milk because milk was in the movie. And so, but there was no other drink that I could find. They drink wine, I think, or mention wine at one point. But there's the scene where they're eating meatloaf at the very beginning of the movie and they have milk. And so, and I think maybe their parents are drinking coffee, but we have milk.
And we could have done meatloaf, but why do meatloaf when you have the Chinese food?
Yeah, and I think this is probably a more memorable part of the movie anyway.
Oh
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. No, there's so many memorable parts, but as far as food goes, yeah, probably this one towards the end. Because it's so relatable too, because, you know, if what other restaurants are open during that time, and it's really this. So, really cool.
I will say, I've done this before. As a family, we've gone out to get Chinese on Christmas before.
I had to as well when I was in the Navy.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
this was like a... This isn't just because it was just like we had to. Like, we had Christmas plans. Like, we did our Christmas the day prior or whatever because, you know, schedules are all kind of funky in the holidays, especially when everyone gets married and everything. And so it was me and my wife and then my parents. And none of us had plans on Christmas Day for dinner. And so we're like, let's just go get Chinese food.
That's fun.
And we actually did that once. And then another year we went and got Indian food on Christmas. So
Two very good choices. Man, this
anyway.
is so good. I could eat this every day.
I know. Now I'm hungry too, which... Oh, are we about to split the cookie?
We can. Let me get a bite of this rice.
Riveting content. Me
Just
chomping
sharing.
on an egg roll and going,
They usually say when no one's talking, the food must be good.
Yeah.
And the food is good.
Moment of silence for the food.
For everyone listening. Moment of silence. All right, so
I bit my lip.
I bit my lip.
I bit my lip.
That's another sign that it's too good is because you're eating too
Because I'm
fast.
eating so fast, I bit my lip.
Yeah. All right, so I'll talk a little bit about this while we're enjoying this because we're gonna eat this whole plate. I guarantee.
Oh,
it.
guaranteed. That's an easy bet.
Yeah.
Wait, do you want to split the fortune cookie first?
Yeah, let's do that. Ready?
Oh, it's like a wishbone.
And we'll read it. Oh, I guess since I have it.
Since
I'll
you
read
have it.
All right. The fortune. The really great man is the man who makes everyone feel great. The great man is...
So is that me or you?
It's both of us.
It's both of us. We
Yeah.
are both great men that make every
Body
man
feel great. Well,
Everybody.
everyone.
Everyone.
Everyone feel great. And
Not just the men.
if you can guess the number 1 between 100, then you
Oh, I
win
get
life.
to guess.
I mean, I don't know. That's how I'm doing it right now, anyways.
43.
Dude, you were off. It was 45.
Oh, 45?
You were really close. Really close.
Dang. I almost said 47.
Mm.
And it was right in between those numbers. Oh.
That means you're just almost there.
Yeah, not quite. I can't quite go to the casino yet because I didn't get it right.
You're close, but you're getting there. All right, so this movie, Christmas Story, like we kind of mentioned in the beginning, this is a classic movie. Everyone has, for the most part, if you've not seen it, you know the icons of this movie. So it always comes, every season, every year, someone at least brings it up, or someone at least recommends to watch it or have it on the background or something like that. It's kind of like, honestly, I think movies do a good part in this, and even songwriters do a good part in this, where if you do a good Christmas song or movie, it's going to stick with you for the rest of your life. You know, that's why I think Mariah Carey has
her whole career.
Her whole career has stayed relevant, is because every Christmas you turn it on and one of the songs is Mariah Carey, or someone who's
arguably the biggest Christmas song.
Could be, yeah, arguably,
because it is keeping her afloat.
Yeah. But and so with movies, it's the same way. You can probably put on a list of you could put up 10 movies that are good Christmas movies, and they just stay around every season because it's a classic.
And it's hard to. It's hard nowadays for a Christmas movie to live up to that as well, because it has to be an instant classic for it to stick around. There's
I don't even
a lot
know.
Of them.
Yeah, in more recent years, is there one you can even think of?
No. Last year was the Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds movie called.
What was it called?
I don't remember.
I only remember because of the TikTok video or the Reels video where it's the two of them. He's like,
is it when they're singing the song?
Yeah, it's the Grace Kelly
song. I could be blue, I could be. Yeah, and then Will Ferrell appears. Yeah.
I forget what it's called.
But that movie is not going to have as much staying power.
No.
I think it was decently popular last year because those are two big names in a movie together, both funny guys. And I saw the movie and it was okay. I mean, I liked it, but
I never saw it.
It wasn't like this is an instant classic that's going to be around.
Right.
Now, I think that's probably the most recent example of one that maybe has a chance to stay around. It's kind of an
I don't know if it does if we can't even remember the name of it.
That is true. That let's see. I feel like it has choking on the rice.
Uh-oh.
I'm
sorry, I was chewing while you were looking
Spirited.
It up. Spirited, yeah. See, I don't know.
I recommend it if you haven't seen it, but you're kind of a Grinch. So it's
I did like the most recent Grinch movie. That one was great.
The animated one?
Yeah,
the animated one is
good.
good.
Jim Carrey Grinch is a classic as well, I would say.
That one's more recent. Of course, Elf is more recent.
Yeah.
That's an instant classic. Let's just look it up. Christmas movies. Let's see what shows up. Okay. Popular Christmas movies. Christmas Vacation is not recent. Polar Express, kind of. There's the two Grinches. But I feel like none of these are hitting classic status.
I apologize for not talking as much either. I'm really enjoying this film.
I don't think many of them are hitting classic status.
No. I don't think so.
Hold
on. Before we get into that, let's rate this food.
Oh, man. Wait, who's this? I don't think it matters.
No. Oh, man.
We could have read our names on the back.
Oh, man. I mean,
man.
All right, you ready?
Your highest rated food of all time?
Probably.
All right, let's see it.
9-2.
Hey!
It's a Christmas miracle!
It's a Christmas miracle!
Oh,
everybody!
Look at us!
We're the great guys.
We're the great guys, and we make everyone great.
Yep. Wait.
Isn't that great?
Is that how it went?
I think so. It said, Really great man. Wait,
Okay.
the really great man is the man who makes everyone feel great.
Maybe we'll talk about this movie next year during Christmas time, because it's not the one for next week. Spoilers.
Okay.
But last year, The Violent Night came out.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about?
If they got food,
With,
that would be a fun one.
With David Harbour as Santa Claus.
Oh, yeah.
And he just goes on a murdering spree. But it's not like a horror movie. It's like an action movie. And I actually thought it was pretty good.
I'll have to
For
watch
what it is. You can't go in it going, this is going to be peak cinema experience.
Right.
You go into it going, I want to see Santa Claus bash people's heads in with axes, which is what happens in Hammers.
You get exactly what you want.
You get exactly what you want. I thought it was decent.
Man, this is good.
So I wouldn't mind if that movie kind of gets a classic status, but I don't think it would, being rated R because of all the violence.
You kind of have to have one in that perfect window of it can be a little risque, but more family friendly.
Yeah, and that's kind of this movie.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree.
And Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
I'd say Elf is maybe a little bit more family friendly.
There's some part in Elf
But yeah.
that I think would fly over some people's heads or some kids' heads. You know, I think that's there's some dialogue in there, but man, this is good food. Oh, I can't get over it. All right, so this takes us back to the 1940s, where a young boy named Ralphie Parker attempts to convince his parents, teacher, and Santa Claus that a Red Ryder Range 200-shot BB gun really is the perfect Christmas gift.
And you're not reading this off of
No, that's from memory.
anything at all.
Yeah, that's from memory.
Good.
But there's so much other stuff and moments that happen in there where it's like one where the dad gets the lamp, which the mom is not too fond of, and he reads the box and he's like, fragile.
Fragile.
Must
Fragile.
be yeah, must be, was it French or however
Must be
he
French.
says it. So it's just, and he's just so oblivious to, you know, stuff like that. And but you know, you have that moment. You have, of course, one of the, I think maybe even in cinema, one of the most iconic
Wait,
scenes.
can I guess? Is it the licking the pole scene?
Yeah. I would say, because if you think about it, every year or every time you're outside and there's ice, you're like, oh, don't get your tongue stuck to the pole. Like in Christmas Story, you know, everyone is brought back.
Have you done that
to
before?
that moment?
I stuck my tongue on a pole before. and
It really
says-
stuck? Oh, wow.
It doesn't stick as long.
No.
In the movie,
Because all you
I
have
mean,
to
it's
do is
dr-
like cough and like huff, huff.
yeah, or if you just like get your mouth to produce more saliva.
Yeah. I guess it depends on how cold it is too, right?
True.
But I don't know if it's that cold. For some reason, I thought that I saw where this was supposedly in Indiana.
Yes, so it was. This movie is supposed to take place in a town. I don't remember the name of it,
It's fictional,
but it's a
though.
fictional town in northern Indiana. Because it's supposed to be kind of an offshoot of the creator where he lived. He lived in a suburb of kind of Chicago. Maybe it was closer to Indiana. I don't know. But northern Indiana is very close to Chicago. And so
Right.
there's lots of, being from Indiana ourselves, there's lots of Indiana references. Terre Haute is mentioned twice in the movie. I counted when I watched it.
Nice.
Because I only had to count to 2. I can't go much higher than that. But the Indy 500 is mentioned. There's just like multiple Indiana things that are mentioned. So I think in terms of like a classic Christmas movie, this one hits a little bit different for those who live in Indiana because it's from here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of
yeah.
like, oh man, this is from here. Same thing with Stranger Things is in a fictional town of Indiana.
Yeah.
Why don't they just use a real town in Indiana? With all these people, they're using fictional Indiana towns.
Yeah. Maybe
a real one.
the name of Indiana is better. Maybe actual places in Indiana aren't good enough production-wise to film, but I don't know.
Maybe it's just the idea of Indiana
Yeah.
as the
'cause it's
most general Midwest state.
right, exactly. And it's like usually when you hear of you know, crazy stories happening or like I don't know where the facts are, but it seems like a lot of even like serial killers are from the Midwest, and a lot of them are from Indiana. So if anything crazy were to happen, it would probably come somewhere from the Midwest. I think it's
Michael Jackson's from Indiana.
Well, yeah.
Well,
King of Pop,
yeah.
R.I.P.
There's lots of. It's sometimes interesting. I feel like Indiana, growing up, just feels like nothing happens. But if you really do some research, I feel like a lot of famous things and people are from Indiana.
Name 5.
Michael Jackson, Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah. Even though Illinois claims him a lot, I think he spent most of his childhood in.
Well, I don't remember which way it was. He was born in one of the two states, either Illinois or Indiana, but then very young age, he moved to the other one.
Yeah.
And I don't remember which one was which. I don't remember if he was...
Illinois, isn't it the Lincoln State?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
They claim it, but I think they claim it maybe because he grew up there and that's where he lived most of his life. Mm-hmm. But I think he was born in Indiana. Mm. So Indiana people also claim it. But there's also really famous things like the Indy 500.
Yeah. The book, what is it? Fault in the Stars?
Oh, yeah. He's from Indiana.
Yep.
Or he lives in Indiana. I don't know if he's from here, but he lives in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Like I already said, Stranger Things takes place in a fictional Indiana town. And then, of course, A Christmas Story.
Yeah. Yep. There we go.
That's more than 5.
That's why Indiana's the most famous state.
It is.
That's not even a spicy take. It's a fact.
The most famous state.
The most famous state. Name a more famous state.
I dare you to try and name a more famous state.
I dare you.
So anyway, let's talk about A Christmas Story a little bit. This movie, I don't know how I feel about this movie yet.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to kind of dig into it a little bit more?
By what do you mean?
I don't know. Just talk about it a little more.
Okay? Sounds like you have something to say.
Not really. I mean, I can have something to say.
Okay.
But yeah. I mean, obviously, the rating is going to be a little skewed. Only one reason, because it was filmed.
I didn't take a picture of the food.
Oh, we ate it way too fast. Oops. So, because
great.
Even though it was set in the 40s, it was filmed in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
So, 80s had a very specific decade of film, as you would say. Like, if you look at a film that was made in the 80s, you could say, okay, that was made in the 80s. If you weren't really in that era, some of the pacing and everything can be a little slower, or the jokes can be, kind of missed. So, if you didn't really grow up on this, it might be kind of hard to put this in the nostalgia feel for you, right? So if you take yourself out of that and kind of view it as we've talked about before in the show, with like the golden age of Hollywood, with Alfred Hitchcock and movies during that era, if you put it yourself in like, okay, if I am in that decade and I am watching this for the first time, what are my thoughts going to be on it? I think it's still, even as a Christmas classic, I think it still holds really well. But I think there are some parts that you will probably feel like, okay, it's just not picking up for me. Like, some things are maybe a little too corny for me. But I think, if you grew up, watching this, even if you weren't born in that decade, I think you can definitely appreciate the cultural relevance and impact that it has. But I mean, I understand if it's not, everyone's cup of tea either. So with that being said.
Yeah, I think I'm in that boat of this movie just kind of, it's not for my generation.
Yeah. Which is fine.
What I mean? Because it's for people who are familiar with this, even if you maybe not born in the 30s or the 40s, that even up until maybe you were a kid in the 50s, 60s, or 70s, that there's a lot that you can relate to.
Right.
Now there's even things that I can relate to, but it's a much bigger separation.
Yeah. And it's only an hour and a half. And I will say for an hour and a half movie, it feels longer.
Yeah.
You know, and that could be part of the, like I said, the pacing of it too. I mean, there's a lot of really just narrative. So there's not even much dialogue from Ralphie, where you're just kind of in Ralphie's head most of the time. So that might make it feel a little bit slower too. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it if it's not, you know, a fan favorite. But I mean, I feel like for a Christmas movie, it's definitely on top, or at least in the top.
Yeah.
Oh, spicy take. Spicy take.
So not really growing up with this movie, not really watching it, not being able to relate to it very much. It's just, it was very slow. A lot of the parts that are supposed to be funny didn't really land for me.
Like what?
Just like, I don't know. I never really found myself laughing. The one part I laughed, I remembered, was when Ralphie's little brother Randy had the big puffy stuff on, and it was the first time that we were introduced to their bully Scut Farkas.
Right, yeah.
And Randy had fallen. I don't know if he was pushed or he fell over, but he was just laying there.
Just gonna get
and then the narrator says something like, I don't remember exactly what he said. He said, and Randy is laying there like he's useless something or other, and he's just and it's just a shot of him laying on the ground. I don't remember it, but that one I actually laughed because I thought, okay, it's kind of funny because there's like this, the bullies getting at Ralphie and these other kids, and then there's just Randy on the side just laying down. But anyway, most of it I'm just kind of like, it never really landed. I more so for me, I think, me watching this, it was fun to get a snapshot of what it looked like in the 40s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
sure. I
sure.
think that was the most fun part for me for this movie.
Yeah.
To be like, okay, what does it look like? The whole thing about them waiting for their Orphan Annie radio show. That was his favorite thing. There was no TV. Just everything with like the spark plugs and the when he plugged the lights in, it would explode. They had to go get a Christmas tree, and then he mentions, someone, my buddy down the street got one of those new plastic trees, and it's just like, because that's apparently a new thing then, and so things like that. It's kind of interesting. I think that was the best part of that movie. This movie for me was it's just a period piece for me to be able to get a glimpse of kind of what it was like for a kid in that time.
For sure.
But I think the main thing that keeps this movie as a classic, and I think this is one of the only ways that a movie can become classic, honestly, is through nostalgia.
Yeah.
And so this movie is the pinnacle of nostalgic movies. Because even me, who has never even watched this, you get a nostalgic feeling from it.
Oh, yeah.
Because you think about going to your grandma's house for Christmas, even though they didn't even go to their grandma's house, just like being in an old house, you know what I mean? For Christmas, and getting a present from your aunt that you didn't like, and not getting what you want for Christmas, and things like that. And so
there's a lot of things that hit home even if you weren't born in that era. Yeah, it just seems like those things are still carried on to today's day and age.
Yeah,
it just looks a little different.
There's a number of things that are carried on, but there's also a number of things that aren't carried on. And so I think that's the driving force that keeps this movie alive, is the nostalgic factor. But as a movie, trying to be a comedy movie, it was not that funny to me because I'm not the audience, I think. Is the main reason.
Sure, yeah.
Because, a movie is funny when you're the audience to that movie. Like, I am the type of person that apparently likes Violent Night because I thought that movie was funny because there's funny parts. And so this is the complete opposite of a movie like that.
Yeah.
And so I'm not the target audience because you'll laugh at the jokes in this movie because you relate so much to it. But I don't relate so much to it to where I'm like, oh, that's hilarious. This happened to me. Or that's hilarious. My dad did that when I was a kid. Or, Yeah. So I definitely think that as an older generation, like my parents and even before them, that this movie hits as more of a classic, nostalgic movie.
Sure.
I do wonder the longevity of it as a movie, just because it's such a strong period piece that, my generation doesn't talk about this movie or really care about this movie as a Christmas movie versus something like Elf or The Grinch or something, which is something we've grown up watching.
Right. And I see that, and that's important too to note, because I feel like It's a Wonderful Life is kind of on that end as well.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of like my generation, maybe a few people, a little bit older than me talk a lot about it, but that could be another movie that's kind of pushed back as all these other classics, like we talked about with Elf, or even Jim Carrey's adaptation of The Grinch, so all those are kind of being pushed back more.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're saying like your generation and below are just kind of like don't really get it, then there's a good chance that classic could go away one day.
And that's just what happens, because it's impossible for something to stick around for that long unless there is a continuation of popular remakes and reboots and re-releases.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why things like, Mickey Mouse is from the 20s.
Yeah.
And so,
true.
But the reason Mickey Mouse has such a mainstay in popular culture is because Mickey Mouse movies, shorts, and everything else in between has been released since the 1920s almost every year.
Right,
you know
exactly.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So everyone has a generation of Mickey Mouse that they grew up watching.
Right.
Now, they did do A Christmas Story 2.
A Christmas Story Christmas, I think was what it was
Well,
called.
no, but they have A Christmas Story 2.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
That is
one.
In 2012, but it doesn't have the original character. It doesn't have Ralphie.
No.
It's I don't really know what it is.
Yeah, that one was definitely a lot more.
Teenage Ralphie
Oh.
wrecks his dream car before he even gets it off the lot. So he and his friends get jobs to earn enough money to fix it before the old man finds out.
But it didn't have Peter Billingsley, right?
No, I don't think it had any of the same characters.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And then more recently, that's a sequel, and then more recently, A Christmas Story Christmas is more of a reboot.
Yeah, and that's very recent. I would say it came out last year.
It came out last year, and so that brings back the original Ralphie and Randy, and even Flick and Short, like all their friends. Now, I don't think their parents are in it, because I think at this point they had probably passed away.
Yeah.
Because that's been 40 years ago, and they were already probably in their 40s when they filmed the movie.
Right.
It's possible they're still alive, but I don't think they were in the movie. So anyway, that was more of a reboot, and I don't really know how it did. I've never seen it.
6.7 on IMDb.
79 on Rotten Tomatoes. So it doesn't get a horrible. I mean, maybe it's fine. What does it say? Ralphie returns to give his kids a magical Christmas like the one he had as a child. Long-awaited follow-up to the holiday classic, A Christmas Story. So, yeah, it just kind of sounds like a reboot.
Yeah.
And now Ralphie is trying to recreate his childhood experience, trying to recreate essentially the first movie.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
I think it might be worth giving it a.
I'm sure it's probably fine. If you're a fan of the original, then I'm sure that you like it. But this movie doesn't have as much of a, not everyone's like, oh, the Christmas Story Christmas is instant classic.
Right.
I don't think that this movie is going to extend the longevity of the original by any means.
No.
I think the fact that it's already, 40 years old?
Since 83. So yeah.
Exactly 40 years old this year. So the 40th anniversary.
Wow.
40th anniversary of A Christmas Story.
That's crazy. Didn't even realize it when we originally picked this out.
So there you go. November 18th, 1983 is when it came out. So it's the 40th anniversary. So the fact that it's been 40 years, I honestly wonder if this movie's on its way out.
Yeah. Could be. I don't know.
I don't think it's all the way on its way out. I'm not saying that I'm canceling the Christmas movie just because it's not my favorite Christmas movie, but I just think the people that have grown up with this being a classic, being nostalgic, being something that they can relate to, that generation is older now and eventually will be gone.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it has the mainstay.
Gotcha.
And really, I don't think there's any movie that's going to have a mainstay like that.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
even
Elf is popular now, but like, you know, in another 30 years, we might be done talking about Elf, and there's going to be something else that has come out.
True.
It's hard to think of something else coming out that's going to become another classic.
Elf's already 20 years old. Did you know that?
Yeah. This year's also the 20th anniversary of Elf.
Yeah. Crazy.
So, but anyway, I don't know what else to say about this movie. What do you have to say?
I don't have a whole lot to say that I didn't know already, so we could even just start rating it if you want.
Dang, we're already getting to it.
I mean, really, there's nothing else. I mean, we can go through, you know, scenes and talk about, you know, the story of it, which, I mean, we don't necessarily have to. I think it's really, you know, more so like what our thoughts were on it.
Yeah.
As I said before, I mean, you know, I think it really is, if you didn't grow up on it, or if you're just watching it, you know, with no kind of thoughts about it at all, you know, I think your rating will be closer to, I think, what today's you could say generation or movie viewers would rate it.
Yeah.
And I try to take myself out of you know, the thoughts of it just being something I grew up on, or and kind of viewing it solely on, you know, the creation of the movie, you know, the acting of the movie. I mean, I think there was just there are so much funny parts, but it's kind of like if you compare it to the humor of, let's say, Seinfeld, there's some people who get Seinfeld and there's some people who don't. You know?
Yeah.
And so if you view this as kind of that humor, and I think really any kind of humor can be viewed that way.
Yeah.
You know, there's some movies that people are just like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. And there's some movies where people are just like, I don't get why it's funny, or I see why it's funny, but I don't really think it's funny.
Yeah.
And this could fall into that category for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think I'm in a little bit in that category. There are some funny parts, but I didn't find it particularly that funny. I think what the best comparison that I can make for this is that this movie kind of follows the same formula as something like Napoleon Dynamite, in that there's not really much that happens in the movie.
Yeah.
It's just a series of loosely related events around Christmas time.
Right.
And Napoleon Dynamite's the same thing. It's a series of loosely related events in this kid's high school life. And really the only thing that ties them all together is the main character. Ralphie being the main character, of course, Napoleon being for the other one. But I think the main difference is I find Napoleon Dynamite absolutely hilarious, and then this movie I didn't find that funny.
Because you grew up with Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, and so and I can relate to that one, I feel like, more.
Right.
And it's just kind of stupid humor. When this, I feel like it plays on nostalgic humor. And, you know, when you don't have that nostalgic factor, then you're not going to find it as funny.
Sure. Yeah.
So in terms of, I don't bash it for the fact that it kind of doesn't really have a plot other than that it's Christmas, and that you know, I guess the plot could be his mission to try and get this BB gun.
Yeah. Red Ryder BB gun.
Yeah, but even a lot of the scenes in the movie don't have to do with him getting that BB gun.
Oh,
anyway.
for sure. Yeah.
And so I think it's just kind of nothing really happens, and the comedy doesn't redeem it for me. Napoleon Dynamite, nothing really happens, but the comedy redeems it.
For sure.
But for me, the comedy doesn't redeem it in here because it's not that funny to me.
Yeah. Well, that's that's a good opinion about it. I think No, I think I mean, it's a little different with my experience with it than yours. But I definitely agree with why you see it the way you see it.
Yeah.
Because
you probably would agree, even though you probably like this movie more than me, you would agree it's the type of movie that nothing really happens.
Oh, yeah, for
but
sure.
But the comedy hits different for you than it would for me.
For sure.
And we do have a bit of a gap in our age, but I don't think it's that big of a gap.
Yeah.
So it's
big
not
enough.
It's not that big to where I think it's like, you know, we're such big generations that you can relate to this more than me. I think it's just the comedy factor doesn't hit for me as much because there's less relatability.
For sure. Yeah. No, I
So,
get that. I totally get that.
Let's
All
get
right.
into rating.
Cool. Rating of the movie. Yeah, I mean, don't have a whole lot else to say. You know, it's really, and we run into a lot of this with movies. It's really taking yourself out of the nostalgia and taking yourself out of the bias, which we run into every single movie. You can say, well, I grew up on it, that's why I like it more. I try to keep myself out on the outside every single time. Mm-hmm. That way I can give an honest opinion about a movie. I can break it down a lot more. I can, nitpick it. Even though we didn't really go scene by scene or anything with this movie, and if you've seen it, you can do that, yourself. But I think it's really important to do that, to have a real true understanding or breakdown of a movie. And so with that and breaking down the movie, I don't think there were any really weak characters. I actually think because of how young this cast was, I think they did really well as child actors. I think they all did a great job. The parents, of course, to me were really funny, and they were pros in their own category. But it really just comes down to, I think, preference, and if you actually enjoy this movie outside of all those things. So I'm gonna give it 7.5.
I'm gonna give it a 6.0.
That's still not bad. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't think it's a bad. I don't think it's a bad movie. It's not a badly made movie. I think in terms of now, this is my rating for overall movies. You know what I mean? Versus now, if we're rating it compared to all Christmas movies, it'd be a lot higher. I think.
Sure.
And just because there's less Christmas movies, just in general, especially good ones, and so. But as an overall movie, I'm watching this for the first time all the way through, 6.0.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think that's good.
Above the middle slightly.
Yeah.
Not bad.
No, I think that's a good, honest
okay.
answer. Yeah. And I think it gives a good visual for, what people would expect if they haven't seen it. It kind of gives them a baseline of like, okay, I need to go in this open mind. If I haven't been raised on it, I get why I don't think it's as funny, or vice versa.
I think that also might be part of the reason why it slightly was tainted for me, because this movie, I feel like in a lot of people's mind, has hit legendary status.
Yeah.
And and of course it's hit classic status, but I think even legendary status. And so going into it, I'm like, okay, this is going to be an amazing, movie experience. And I try not to do that as much as I can, but when it has such cultural significance and such a such a audience that has a strong feeling about it being such a classic movie.
So you kind of set the bar high going into it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't intentionally go into a movie with my bar set really high, but when you've grown up hearing about this movie and you've never heard it, and all the icons of it, and people are like, oh, this is hilarious. It's quoted all the time.
Right.
Like, I've even quoted this movie. I've never even seen it, because I've read, anytime I see the word fragile on something, I'll go fragile.
Yeah, right.
It's like, I've not even seen the movie, and that's how iconic this movie is.
Yeah, for sure.
Someone who's not even seen the movie, I'm quoting it. And so going into it, I'm like, okay, this should be funny. This should be nostalgic feeling. This should be fun. And I just it fell a little bit flat for me.
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean, and that's an honest take. So I don't hate it. But so what we can do now is get into Cinesnacks, and this is yours to lead. So should we do it? Should it be Christmas themed Cinesnacks? Whatever
we didn't
you
talk
want to
about
do.
this.
Whatever you want to do.
But then that would mean you would have to do one for the next one too.
I mean, that definitely shortens our window.
That's true.
So
maybe we won't do that.
Yeah, we can keep it open.
Because I didn't think about what movie I want to do yet. Give me half a second.
Okay. Yeah, because I feel like if it were Christmas movies, then that window would be super short. And
true.
It would give us it would set us up to fail.
Give me something. I'm trying to think.
Well, while you're trying to think,
okay.
So Cinesnacks, yes or no questions. If you've been listening or if you're new to this, we usually wrap up the show with this. So Adam's going to come up with a movie and I have to guess it. I have 3 clues and as many questions as I want to ask. So let's see how it goes.
Let's see.
So, as he's thinking, I'm going to be thinking.
I have the movie.
Okay.
Okay, I about said it out loud in my mind as I'm writing because I like talk when I write. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to show everybody.
Okay, I'm closing my eyes.
I don't know if you can read it. My handwriting's terrible. All right.
Okay, here we go.
Let me think of some hints. I like to write down my hints so that I'm ready to give them to you.
Yeah, that's fair. I kind of had to wing it on the last episode.
Shoot. Okay.
Oh, holy night.
Okay, I think I got it. Let's get the timer. Oh, I cut your song off.
Oh, it's okay.
Oh, holy night.
Just whisper it.
Okay. You ready?
Okay, I am ready.
3, 2, 1, go.
2010s?
No.
2000s?
No.
2020s?
No.
1990s?
Nope.
1980s?
Yes.
Oh, wow. 80s movies. Oh, no. I'm not so great with this. Is this comedy?
No.
Action?
Yeah.
Is the lead an actor, male?
Yes.
Is it a famous male?
Yes.
Is he bald?
No.
Oh. Does he have dark hair?
I mean, no, I don't
Is
think
he
so.
buff? Like athletic?
Yeah, kind of.
Athletic build?
Not
but he's
super,
not known,
not super buff.
But he's not like an action star.
He is an action star, but I wouldn't say he's buff.
Okay. And he has dark hair?
I wouldn't say he has dark hair.
Is he white?
Yes.
Is he blonde?
No.
What is his hair color? Okay, so this is an action movie?
Yes.
Okay, it is famous director. Is it by a famous director?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Was he in Star Wars?
Yes.
Is it the one of the Indiana Jones movies?
Yes.
But I don't know which one.
Oh.
Is it with the Ark of the Covenant?
No.
Is it with the Holy Grail?
No.
Is it? I don't know if I'm gonna get this because I don't know the names. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
No.
It's not. Wait, isn't that the only 3 that were in the 80s?
You didn't name the third one. You repeated one. You have 13 seconds.
Raiders of the
I
Lost
haven't
Ark.
given you hints yet.
Can I look? Wait, since you look it up, can I look it up?
No, you're not allowed to look up movies.
Hint. Okay, hint 1.
Heart,
Hint 2.
brain,
Okay.
whip. I was gonna say whip because I didn't know. If
Whip
you were
would
gonna
have
end
given it away. Oh man, but I don't. Okay, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
You can't look it up because you know the franchise. But
So
you don't
I know
the
it's Indiana Jones, but Raiders of the Lost Ark. You might get.
It would be hilarious if you don't get this off of
That's-
the fact
oh
you
my
can't
God.
remember the movie, the name of it.
Oh man, how much time do I have?
I didn't give you a time, but
I'm
I'll give you
prob-
like
I'm probably
45
done.
seconds.
Oh, so Raiders. Okay, so I'm gonna write down the first part. I feel like I should get half credit. Okay.
I'm gonna give you 30 more seconds to think of it.
It's so funny
You
because
named an icon from the first one.
which
and
is the
then-
Ark of the Covenant,
Yes.
and then so Raiders of the Lost Ark is the Ark of the Covenant. That
Yes.
makes sense. The Holy Grail,
Yes, that's another one.
and then
I'm not gonna give you the names of it though, of any of them, because I don't want to help you.
man, I'm not.
I got
It's
Indiana
so
Jones
funny.
right here.
It's so funny because I saw that they're releasing all of these on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And so I saw like all the titles, but didn't like really think much about it.
I think they've had all of them on Disney Plus. I think they're just releasing the newer one that just
okay.
came out this year.
Okay. And there's
Because
the
I
Crystal Skull.
rewatched them.
The Crystal Skull.
Yes, but
But
that came
that's-
out in like 2010
Yeah,
or 12.
that was with Shia LaBeouf, and that is sooner. I named all of them off except the one
So
I need to do.
you haven't named the other two from the original. I mean, you've said the Holy Grail, but the movie's not called
It's
the
not
Holy
called
Grail.
Oh man, and the Ark of the Covenant, and the one. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose on a technicality.
Okay, it's not a technical. I mean, if I'm picking
Or-
a movie from from a series and I'm picking a specific one.
But
It's like if I were to choose
like a Harry Potter movie. Do you know all the Harry Potter
No,
titles?
I've not seen any of them.
So if you say Harry Potter, would I give it to you for saying Harry Potter?
Probably not. That's what you're going to do for all of them now. You're just going to say, because how many of those are there? 7?
8.
8. So I'm going to get them all wrong for 8, the next 8 one. I just thought you would have known this since it's one of the original.
I know, and I imagine I've seen it a few times, but
Honestly, if we were doing points, I would probably give you half credit, but I don't know if there's a way to give half credit in this situation.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, well, I feel like if I hear it, hold on, give me one more second to really think about it.
You've had forever to really think about it.
I know. All right, so I know it's Indiana Jones.
Yes, you got that much.
And I'm trying to think of Indiana Jones-esque sounding names. And
that's funny, actually. Indiana Jones sounding names.
I give up. I know it's Indiana Jones. I give up on what the actual title is.
Okay, it's Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom. That's right. Okay. It's just, yeah, okay.
Ooh.
All right, I'll take the punishment.
I said heart because he pulls the guy's heart out.
Right. Is that with...
brain because they eat monkey brains, and then I was going to say whip just because it's Indiana Jones.
Is that with what the kid's name? Is he in that one?
Yeah. Short round or short stack or short round.
Yeah.
Short round.
Yeah. Dang.
Who the actor
won an Oscar recently.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce his name. K-Y Kwan.
Yeah. He was in the Goonies too.
He's in the Goonies.
Booby Trap.
And he was in the most recent season of Loki, which we talked about last.
Oh, cool.
He was actually a pretty major character in that season. Anyway.
All right. Well, let's get this
so,
punishment. What is it?
For the punishment, if you remember in the movie, Randy, the little brother, gets all bundled up before his mom bundles him up.
All right.
Before he goes outside,
Okay.
and to where he can't even put his arms down. So your punishment is that you're gonna have to get bundled up.
Okay.
And get real hot for the last couple minutes of this.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna do a quick snap, and then be right back, and he'll be bundled up.
All
so
right.
Here we go. Oh man,
Woo!
there you are.
A little warm.
So you can't really see it, but so underneath he had his clothes from earlier, plus a sweater, plus the coat, and then a scarf, 2 beanies on to keep his head real warm, and then of course gloves.
Oh yeah, feeling really warm.
Oh.
Feels great. All right.
So, you're doing the outro though. I was gonna try and make it as long as possible, so you're gonna get super sweaty.
So I might read this fast. All right. Well, I feel like I should get. I don't know. We'll see.
See, how am I supposed to give you half credit for this?
Yeah, we'll figure out.
Where
the
half
rules.
of that, then
Yeah.
it just wouldn't have been as funny.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well.
You look cozy.
Yeah, it actually isn't too bad. It is kind of cozy.
Well, let's just give it 15 minutes and see how you feel.
Yeah. Oh shoot. Sorry. Yeah. It's it is what it is.
I think the scarf looks really cute on you though.
Thank you. Yeah. I don't know where it's been, but all right. Well, as we wrap up this festive episode of CineBites, where we've journeyed through the heartwarming nostalgia of A Christmas Story, we hope you've enjoyed the blend of cinematic holiday magic and culinary delights. Just as the film warms our hearts, so does our exploration of food and film leave us with a taste of seasonal joy. Thank you for joining us today. Stay tuned for more cinematic flavors in upcoming episodes. Make sure to follow us on YouTube and Instagram, and hear our podcast weekly on all major podcast platforms. Until next time,
bon appetit and happy viewing.